Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hello, wonderful side quest people. And speaking of side quests, we have a real doozy of one today. But first, my name is Phil Morgan, and I'm host of a podcast named Deleted Saves. I'll tell you where you can find me at the end of this episode. One of the unusual things I have noted in the various mythologies of the world is that there are really only 4 types of monsters we all share. Some type of massive beast, usually a dragon or giant. Some kind of animal-human hybrid like a werewolf or a leopard man. A ghost of some type. And lastly, some kind of blood-drinking ghoul, a vampire. Most of these can be explained away easily, of course. Humanity's discovering of the bones of the late Jurassic period or the Pleistocene epoch, our connection to nature on a garden planet where we are just another animal, or our fear of our own mortality and questions of what happens to us when we die. But that last one, the one about something crawling from the grave, a creature afraid of sunlight that seeks to drink from the throat of the living, well, that is more of an odd case. It could be the fear of death. It could also be an inherent fear of nocturnal predation, a fear of blood and pain, and maybe natural repulsion to corpses. But maybe it comes from something older, darker, deeper in our collective psyche. In the early days and early decades of the 21st century, we have grown blasé about vampires. They wear eyeliner in out-of-date fashions. They swan about in cemeteries, quoting poetry. They sparkle. They perform kung fu on zombies and werewolves. They're superheroes. They are used as a mirror held up to us to analyze our own unhealthy society. You know, the usual stuff. They act very differently from the 19th century when they were introduced to the world by a handful of authors, where the vampire was a byword for unfettered sexual innuendo in an artificially chaste society. But the subject of today is a very different vampire. Today our subject is the PlayStation 1 game Blood Omen, The Legacy of Kain. The beginning of the Legacy of Kain series is penned by Amy Hennig of Uncharted fame, except for that one game that was penned by Glenn Schofield of Dead Space fame. This top-down isometric title is perhaps one of the moodiest and most atmospheric of all the titles in the series. Make no mistake, though, Kain is no hero. Nor is he an anti-hero, that ill-defined title in the fiction where someone who might otherwise be a hero cusses liberally and kills with rules and a motive. No, Kain is a villain, seeking vengeance on those who made him like this, supping on the innocent to fuel his fury, and once sated, deciding the world is simply not enough for him. Kain is a monster, inside and out. Yet opposed to our real world, the setting for much vampire fiction, he stalks the land of Nosgoth, a fantasy world on the brink of collapse, full of vicious bandits, suspicious villagers, invading armies, undead, mutants, monsters, and it is ruled over by 9 autocratic mages that command from the pillars of Nosgoth, where their iron-fisted control over 9 aspects of life crushes all before him. Life and death, nature and industry, sorcery, war, and above all, balance. It is here where a murder throws the world onto the very brink of chaos. When the current guardian of the Pillar of Balance, named Ariel, is murdered, her lover and guardian of the Pillar of the Mind, named Nupraptor, turns his psychic powers on the remaining members and corrupts the pillars beyond saving. Years later, a bored nobleman of little note named Kain is on a pub crawl tour of Nosgoth when he is set upon by bandits who kill him, no matter how hard you fight it. While in hell, he is approached by the guardian of the Pillar of Death named Mortanius, who offers him a Faustian bargain: return from death and get his vengeance, but at the cost of his humanity. Kain jumps at the chance and rises again as a vampire, killing and drinking with abandon. However, things are never so simple as this, as Kain's murder was just one step in a very long chain of events that will take him from the shattered remains of his family crypt to the deep eldritch mysteries that pulse beneath the surface of Nosgoth like a rotten heart, to the very halls of the king himself, a man too devastated by the living death that entombs his daughter to even worry about the crusading army about to batter down his borders. Kain will discuss the finer points of vampirism with an elder of his race. He'll put the members of the Circle to the sword, and literally travel time to stop one disaster, only to fracture time and create a dozen more problems, a theme that will haunt Kain and all those who come after him for the rest of the series. There are no happy endings in Nosgoth, and like a perverse Midas, everything Kain touches turns to blood and death. Kain, the vampire. Kain, the man who refused the sacrifice. Kain, for whom life itself and time is never going to be enough. This game, when it debuted in 1996, was monumental for me. A dark fantasy story where the main character is an utter villain moving through his crumbling world like a force of nature? Sign me up. I don't even like vampires as a concept or character trope, but 1996 me? The one who found himself interested in myth and ghosts and metal music and goth girls who would never give him the time of day or night? That young man playing Ravenloft and Deadlands with his nerdy Dungeons and Dragons friends who weren't expecting gory scares and twists in their make-believe playtime stories that jeopardized their character's sanity in between his art college classes where he was hoping to one day be drawing for Marvel or animating for Disney? Yeah, Blood Omen, The Legacy of Kain was my jam. Go ahead, you can laugh. I'm not any less nerdy today, and I still wear a lot of black. I'm just too old and uncool instead, and I don't really care what anyone thinks about it. But what was the secret sauce of Blood Omen? Was it the gallons of pixelated blood that would rival Mortal Kombat? Not really. The graphics were pretty basic for the PS1, and the gameplay was standard top-down ARPG fare. No, what you came for to this game was the story and the people telling it, chewing scene after scene with abandon. This cast was stacked. Simon Templeman, who voiced Kain in his high Shakespearean British tones. Anna Gunn and Neil Ross, who both gone on to do many more Hollywood things. And the deep, resonant voice of the late, great Tony Jay, rumbling from my TV speakers like the voice of God himself. These actors left an impression one simply cannot deny, all swirling around a story created and directed by Dennis Dyack, once of Silicon Knights fame and now of Apocalypse Studios. If that name doesn't ring any bells, then perhaps you missed Dyack's name attached to another legend in horror gaming, that of Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. Or perhaps you missed both of them. Neither Eternal Darkness nor Blood Omen sold very well in their lifetimes, relegating them both to the realm of rare rumors and titles a friend of a friend of a friend played and won't shut up about. I won't spoil anything further, but this is a title you owe it to yourself to play. And thankfully GOG.com has you covered, where you can still find a copy of Blood Omen, The Legacy of Kain to sink your teeth into. I love this title for its story, for the voice work, for taking the vampire out of the banal streets of the modern nights of our real world and plunking it down in a pure fantasy realm, unprepared for the atrocities to come. I love the series Blood Omen began, even if that series later went off the rails. I love the unabashed, morally ambiguous nature of Kain himself, the last of his kind who would, in time, become first among equals. And let's be honest with ourselves, I love his victory shout, one of the most badass lines in all of gaming. Vae Victis, suffering to the conquered. If you are interested in anything I said and are looking for more games taken from a more personal type of reflection and perspective, I can be found at Deleted Saves across every platform you get your podcasts on. I've talked about the Legacy of Kain series more in depth there as well, and if you'd like to give those episodes a listen, I would really appreciate it. You can find me on Twitter /X at Deleted Saves, Blue Sky at Deleted Saves Podcast, and on Instagram at Deleted Saves Podcast as well. If you're feeling particularly generous, you can find me on Patreon at Deleted Saves Podcast. No pressure, of course. I know these are unprecedented times. I'd like to thank Matt for giving me the chance to talk to everybody today about Blood Omen, the Legacy of Kain, and I appreciate your time and listening. And of course, happy gaming.
Welcome to No Small Games, the indie gaming recap and review podcast. I'm Kate, also known as Cater Blossom.
And I'm Emily. You might also know me online as The Specific Egg.
And we met streaming and playing video games on Twitch.
At No Small Games, we combine our favorite genres to experience everything the indie game world has to offer and share it with all of you. We believe there are no small games, only small game studios.
Each episode, we'll choose one indie game that we each played separately and discuss our playthrough experience together.
The good, the bad, and our most memorable moments. We'll follow our recap with a review and announcement of which indie game will be featured on our next episode.
We invite you to play each game along with us and would love to hear from you about your playthrough experience.
Hey, Kate.
Hey, Emily.
I hope that No Small Games brings everyone some big fun.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.